Welcome back to what the hell? Welcome back to the Prophetic Podcast, episode 61. I'm in here with Kendrick. Becky is behind the camera. You can't see her, but she's there. We were having a really good, fun discussion off mic that I don't know if we're gonna have on mic, but we definitely were having a fun discussion. How are you, sir?
After that discussion, I'm jolly, man.
What?
We was having a discussion about it rhymes with rump
Or pump.
2024.
So this is not where we're supposed to be today, but basically what happened was she asked us where we would vote, and we'll talk about that another time, what we said. But she asked if we vote for Trump, and we vote versus Biden, and we both had our convictions. But
so that's the out of those two options.
Yeah. No, you did.
Yeah, she did narrow it down to those two options. It was either, okay, if it's this versus this. In the beginning, because I had to clarify. I had to ask clarifying questions in the beginning to make sure.
Yeah, you really didn't get. I'm not trying to.
I thought someone was going to say Nikki.
We're not ganging up on you.
I definitely was never going to say Nikki. Haley? That's what you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The transracial woman.
Who?
Wait, what's trans? So we really aren't supposed to be on this, but what is transracial?
What are you talking about?
You say transracial? Oh yeah, Rachel Dolezal. I really thought she did a good job. I thought she was black.
She's Hispanic, ain't she? Indian,
like native, like Indian. Okay, got you.
like yeah.
All right, well,
very, very white passing in features.
So how you been? What's been up?
Man, I've been great, man. Just been working through some personal development.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, been having a good time. Good time doing that. A little self-discovery. Yeah, that's basically
what does self-discovery mean? Because I'm really thinking. I hope it's not what I think it means. What does it mean?
Well, as far as what it means,
and if you can't tell me,
I don't have the Webster's, but what it means to me
for you right now, what does that mean?
What it means to me is basically examining myself, doing a lot of introspective work to realize not only my strengths versus my weaknesses, but my highs versus my lows. Engage, regulating like my emotions and looking at history and comparing myself. How I was then versus how I am now.
Yeah, I like it though.
So yeah, I've been on that type of journey.
I think the last time we talked, we took a different journey that we had been taking in both of our podcast lives. Like, I noticed that we've had a lot of engagement on those things we posted, which shout out to you for helping with the algorithms, because some of that stuff I don't really know, so thank you. But I've noticed that those posts have been doing really, really great. And a lot of it has been women saying that I wish we had more men talking like this. Why do you think that is? We'll start there.
I'm not sure why. I can say in my experience though, the reason why the conversations don't come up is because we weren't taught that. Like, we weren't taught how to have emotional intelligence. We weren't really taught how to express feelings, how to be able to, kind of gauge your temperament and do a very quick self-analysis, check yourself, and try to make, wise decisions. So I didn't come up in an environment like that. I came up in a different type of, more rapid fire type of environment. Yeah.
So my environment, man, I think the reason that I'm not saying I have more emotional intelligence. I can't gauge mine versus yours, anybody, but I had my mom. I told you I had my mom and my grandmother around. My dads were doing what they were doing. So my examples weren't that great. But growing up with females in your life, it teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot of compassion for just females and what they go through. So the way I approach a lot of conversations and why people are kind of hearing me go through the motions and change the narrative of the show, and the directions change a lot to being more open. A lot of that is attributed to women. I can't say no dude was telling me to be more open, because tell me one dude is besides us talking, how many dudes are really in your life saying you should be more transparent, more vulnerable? It's just not really a thing.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just not really a thing. So yeah, I was happy to see that we were reaching people, because you do this thing for a while and you wonder, well, what connects? and it's just us being us. That was actually the best thing probably ever. I had people say you felt more authentic. You looked comfortable. You felt y'all sounded happy. Y'all sounded like y'all were having a good time. It was easy to listen to. I had people say, man, I got through that shit so fast. Like, oops, see, I'm not supposed to be cursing. I got through that so fast that like I hope that y'all keep doing it that way. I was like, that's cool. Like that actually made me feel good because you don't really know until you hear. So to start this whole thing off, I wanted to go back to a part of the last episode that we did where we were talking about like the sexual aspect. And my question, really, I only have like one hard question, but we can deviate however you want, is why is it that men can theoretically express themselves sexually, but not emotionally connect?
Well, in my experience, we come from the smash and dash culture. So
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's true. But
we were taught to have sex. We weren't taught to have sex and get emotionally attached to women when I was coming up. So I kind of had like a mix, kind of, because my parents who raised me, they didn't really teach me much about like sex or anything like that. All I knew was you can't have sex. Yeah, so that's what I got from them. You can't do that. That's literally it. There's
side note, I don't think I like this is a side note. I don't like that as a parent because it's not really giving your kid the space to like really grow. Like I'd rather just tell my daughter what it is, explain to her how this all works. If this goes this route, this is how this works. I'd prefer that you go this route so you have, But I don't think I ever want to leave her in the dark about sex because then they find out on their own, and that's not what you want. So
man, you definitely don't want it like that.
Yeah.
I was one of those find out in the dark babies. you don't want it like that, bro. You don't want it like that, bro.
I know what that means.
Man, I wish somebody would have set me down earlier and would have got me straight.
You're right.
That would have removed a lot of stuff. That would have removed different anxieties. Mm-hmm. That would have removed the way I valued women.
That part.
And didn't know. So I call it value, but back then I wasn't valuing women at all. So all I know is we just supposed to be smashing if we dating and stuff,
At that time I thought that vagina had value. And I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but it's not that it doesn't. It's the person carrying the vagina that has the value. That's where I was messing up. It's like, absolutely. At that age, it's just like, you look at this as a badge of honor. This is the stupidest stuff ever, honestly, man. Like, you shouldn't. Men don't do that. Like, young men don't do that. Like, don't value the actual body part. It's the person carrying it. Like, I never really dug that deep, man. Like, I wasn't getting beyond the surface at all. Like, you just try to connect just enough to get to the goal. And the goal at that age was just really one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, I'm wild, dog. Like, I say I'm wild.
Here we go.
I'm a little different because for some reason, as a kid, I was trying to connect to different girls that I was trying to holler at, so on and so forth. I was trying to connect to kind of make them like me, not just from like the sexual standpoint, but I did kind of want to connect to them emotionally to a degree. So it's like, but nobody had to kind of teach me that. I just kind of naturally gravitated towards that, but that actually came from just a lack of nurturing.
Yeah.
I wasn't really nurtured as a kid.
See, I don't have that excuse. I had women. So, but I still would be reading the red book trying to figure out how you're supposed to like do certain things correct because they got this little section in there. If y'all don't know, don't do this now. This is disgusting. But I would get the little books in high school, like the girl books, like the red book and what's the other one? All this, stuff they read, Cosmopolitan and all that. They had these little areas in the back. If you thumb back far enough, it would give you like have all these sex stories. I'd be in high school like, oh, for real? Okay, let me. I was terrible.
Yeah, bro.
I was like you said, I was girl crazy. I really was back when I was a kid. I really, really was.
I mean, I was girl crazy too. But just to piggyback off of that real quick, bro. In Orange, Texas, our school district was so poor. Our school was so. They acted so broke. They actually made a lot of money. But magazines, bro. Y'all had magazines in schools, bro. We didn't have no magazines, bro. We barely had a newspaper. Man, man.
Yeah, we did. I went to Rowlett. Yeah, I never told you that because that's where your wife went too, right? So you already know what I'm talking about. I went to Rowlett.
Orange, Texas.
Yeah,
back then,
Rowlett,
under-resourced, underdeveloped.
Yeah,
we good. We made the most out of what we had.
Yeah,
As far as having the resources like a Rowlett.
Yeah, I had magazines, buddy. I was trying everything. I was just trying to figure it out. But that at the same time, there was a part of me that always wanted to kind of figure out what love really was. But again, we're not taught that. As men, you're kind of made to think that you have to. And I had this conversation with someone earlier, where men have this complex a lot of times where they feel like they have to have all of these things, like the car, the house, like you got to be a finished package, the body, the height, whatever it might be. And a lot of times, man, like we're not really there. And instead of us just admitting that we're not there and emotionally connecting, we're trying to do all these things to kind of like put up this facade just to get to said goal. And I felt like we've all fallen into that gap at some point in our life as a man. You just have fallen into this place where I'm trying to get to this, whatever it is, and you're just putting up this facade. And a lot of times that is played out through sex. And a lot of times that is worn as a badge of honor, which is terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The men that was teaching me about sex, by the time like my dad came home, my biological dad, and then my older brothers, the only things I was learning about sex, it was really coming from my brothers, and they was just getting they misguided information from like other kids or TV or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm being instilled with the, like I say, the 3 F's: find them, F them, and flee. You find them, you F them, and you get on up out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Look at that, Becky.
So
we're not cursing. We're doing so good. We're gonna make it through this. We're gonna make it.
so there's no type of emotional connection or attachment that's supposed to be associated with it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm being kind of taught, because that's what's being modeled. So I'm learning from what's being modeled. But again, I still had this innate feeling of wanting to experience love, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of that coming from, like I mentioned earlier, like a lack of nurture, that would kind of keep me in like a conflicted type of place. So like all of my early 20s, well, let's just start like getting to college and all of that. From by the time I was college age, 18 and up, coming to Dallas, I pretty much lived through like the whole conflict of like doing what I wasn't supposed to and not doing what I really wanted to. So I'm smashing whatever. I'm just, and I'm next, whatever, because that's all I know. That's what I know from being modeled.
Yeah.
Now I got this inner curiosity that wants to explore love and wants to know how to love. Mainly, I really want to know what it feels like to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
in a real way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I just kind of had that conflict going up. So I know most guys, like you say, would just kind of, it just be in their mind, just, hey, I'm just smashing and dashing and that's it.
Like, I don't, and the funny thing is, I'm thinking about this comment, this lady on your page, like, ain't no way nobody told that man this. So I was like, you'd assume that about me because I'm quiet and I'm nice on it. But my past is not who I am now. So the man sitting in front of you has come a very long way from the man that I once was. But when I was younger, I was hell on wheels. It's just like I didn't have, like you said, you don't have the guidance.
Shout out to Dylan.
You know who I'm talking about, right? That shit was fun. I was like, oh man,
Dylan,
she really does. She's like, tag her. I'm like, not tagging nobody. Like,
funny.
so I'm like, she just don't know. But no, I've just come a long way, man. Like I look at sex so much differently than what I used to. Like,
yeah, for sure.
To me now, when I look at it, it's not a tool anymore. Because at the time, it was just a tool for really my own ego, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But now, man, like I'm not really that interested in it unless we have a real connection. Because I don't want to waste my time and energy in that anymore. Like like I said last week, it's not the last time we were here. I just really don't want to invest too much physically into somebody if we're not going to be nothing. Like it's hard to say that. And I know people probably don't believe that, but it's just when you do this lifestyle that we just talked about for a long time, if you don't get burnt out, you're crazy. Because it's just you're wasting time and money and just I don't know, man.
Man, you know what's wild? That just made a random thought pop up in my head.
Go ahead.
Like, not only are we not taught the proper meaning, context, value of sex in general, but also, now this may be wild, we're not even really taught how to actually have sex. Like,
no, you're just
men.
poking a hole.
That's
That's literally what it is. You literally just jabbing some stuff and like thinking, well, as long as I get off, I just like. Did you really ever? I'm being honest. Did you? Now maybe my weird stuff because I'm reading. Why are you laughing?
No, bro,
because it's true.
That's crazy. Like,
it's
that's
so
literally crazy, bro. We're not actually taught how to have sex. Now you can only imagine in this type of culture how weird and hypersexualized this culture is. That's a odd thing to really even talk about. But
It's real.
If you yeah, it is real. And if you keep
Most
that
of y'all
above-
got whack dick. Now I'm not supposed to be cursing on
I
the show,
don't
but like
know nothing
I'm just
about
saying,
none
like
of
from
that
the general consensus that women have said, like a lot of guys are just poking a hole. They're not really like making love to a woman or like trying to like please her in a real way. It's just really very self-centered and like self-fulfilling.
On that
a lot
note,
of men,
you're right.
A lot of men just have sex for them. They're not having sex to like. It's supposed to be an experience. If I'm being honest,
is supposed to be an
It's supposed to be a full body experience for both people. That's how I feel about sex. I didn't feel that way when I was younger. I was with every other. I'm poking a hole.
Yeah, that's it.
I just if you got off cool. If you didn't, well then hey, well, we'll try again some other time. Like, it's so
Next.
terrible.
What
Becky,
that boy say,
can you agree with this? Is this the general consensus of like every woman that I've talked to about men and sex has just been like, she didn't even let me finish. She is like, yes.
Becky over there traumatized. What Bernie Mac said? I got mine.
Right.
You better get yours.
I'm sorry, Becky, to you and all the women out there. We're gonna have to do better.
Yeah, and honestly, I want to say it's not a lot of guys' fault that we were underprepared for life in a lot of ways.
If you think about it,
I mean,
when women really get some good, it's usually from an older man. If I'm not, and I'm not saying like older where it's not working. I'm talking about like that 40s to 50s range, like late 30s range, like when they finally matured and kind of figured out, oh, it's not just about me.
Man, you understand? Man, look, listen, fellas, when you understand that little magic wand, and you understand how your little magic wand work, the crazy part, man, like with my wife, like with my wife,
Sorry.
I even notice. Okay, so sometimes if it's just we just doing something to be doing something, whatever. Okay, whatever. But then it's like when I'm in those modes, in those moments where I'm like, I'm really feeling it today. Like, you know what I'm saying? I even notice how like her demeanor immediately changed and shifts, and all of a sudden I'm a king again.
This nigga, man.
All of a sudden, like,
But
she
no,
trying
because
to
you
make me ham sandwiches and stuff.
Because you went into it with intent.
With intent.
That it wasn't going to be about Kendrick today. It's going to be about my woman today, or it's going to be about us today, which is better than it being about you.
Yeah, and sometimes as men, we can kind of get caught up in just naturally being a man and just kind of just getting mine, and that's really unfair for the ladies, for the women. So I definitely try to be very mindful of that. Just speaking from a married standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you being single, you probably be like, hey man, that sounds good, but
no, it does sound great. It sounds absolutely like what I'm looking for. I don't want nothing. Y'all leave me alone. For real. I don't want nothing. I'm cool. But no, the question goes back to then how, I guess, not really why, but how do we emotionally connect is a question.
How do we emotionally
How do we get past man brain and all the things we know and unlearning all these negative things we've done and get to the point where you can actually emotionally connect with somebody?
Say, bro, for me, the first thing I had to do was realize that I had some growing to do. So the first thing I had to do was realize it, and then followed by the realization, if I'm willing to be honest with myself, realize the need for growth, change, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. When it comes to emotional intelligence for me, I've always had a desire to kind of want to know what the other person is thinking, what they're feeling, all of that. Now, all of mine comes from trauma responses, but because of undiagnosed trauma responses for an extended period of time, it just kind of weaved into the fabric of my interests and desires, and so from that kind of spawned into me just always kind of being curious and mindful of the next person, whoever I'm around. So for me, it just kind of branched into that. So
for me, it's been, to be honest, actively listening, because sometimes I'm listening. You can listen to respond, and when I was actively listening and receiving what this person is telling me, it's like, oh, okay, so now I understand how you tick. I understand where you're coming from, and then also being again open and vulnerable and transparent. Like I had a situation where a conversation where like it was about body, right? Like about my body. I'm like, it was kind of that conversation where like men have been kind of thought or taught to like, and not really directly, maybe so, but a lot of indirect, a lot of subliminals, like with photographs and models and social media and all these things you see where the men they got it together, they got the money, they got the body, they got the height, they got everything, right? They're just the perfect specimen of a man. And so as a I don't want to say a regular dude, but for us out here that aren't at whatever said stature, you could look at that and be like, well, if I ain't got that, then how am I going? You know what I mean? And so I was talking to someone like, that shit really don't matter. Like most people don't want that. Most women just want you to be there and like understand them and listen and like pay attention and like be intentional and just kind of just be in the moment with them. They don't really care about all that. They can
Most good women.
yeah, that
but
part.
yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, but like a lot of, like I was watching this video that said like really that's like a waste of time for a lot of women because if you get that guy, you become disposable, right? So, but if you build with that guy, he could be the best version of the man you ever had. So, just having those conversations, and that's a part of me being vulnerable too. Like, hey, this is how I kind of feel about that said scenario. But all those things, doing that's how I've kind of moved into more of an emotionally intelligent space where I can really have some deeper conversations because my mindset is different. I'm not looking at you as just a goal or a target or whatever. I'm looking at you as like this is a human that has a lot that they can implement into my life and vice versa. So,
bro, when I was younger and when I was single, and also because I have homeboys right now that's still single, still out there playing the field, so the same thing still exists, the thing that I'm about to tell you. So when I was younger, it always seemed like the women that I was the most attracted to, they didn't want those things. Men just want a good guy that's going to love them and be there and pay attention to them and give them blah, 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 blah. Man, them chicks just wanted cash and to get slutted at. Sorry. And it's like, dang, like, why do I always want the ones that's like that? And it always seemed like the ones that
you want me to tell you the real reason why we want that? Because it looks like it's going to be the most fun.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's just get right to it. That's what it is. So.
But I found out that wasn't true. But
no.
So when you start learning about substance and people having substance, and you actually discover a plethora of things. Obviously, one of the things is that you can definitely find a woman with substance that also matches your visuals. Like she looks the part for you, whatever your preference
or your nasty level,
or all levels. So it's women that can literally meet every check mark on your list, and still have substance. It's just that the ones that don't be the most advertised, and it seems like they're the most advertised because they're usually more willing to do things to be seen or to expose themselves to be seen, and so they're generally more available on the radar.
But to that point, that right there should tell you where their substance lies, because if they're willing to do all those things to be seen, then they really have substance? Probably not, right? I'm not saying all of them. I'm not going to make a blanket statement.
For sure.
But theoretically, from what I've seen and what I remember and what I've experienced and really theoretically, like that is kind of how that goes. Like I've experienced that too, where you see somebody, they're out there that looks like, you meet them, it's not who you think it is.
Yeah. Also, I guess where you meet them can also be a pretty good indicator. A pretty good indicator for sure. Why do women? Well, I'm not gonna say women, but it's a few women that I know and that know me, and that they might just see this. So if the shoe fits, I'm just curious. Tell me in the comment section.
Because they're going to get us in the other comment section was great this week. Appreciate y'all.
Fam, why do you think that your dream person is generally going to be in a club? That's where you're going to find them at. You're going to find them in a club. You're going to find them in a club under the influence of that liquor, probably some of that weed, maybe a perk 30, 2 perk 30.
What kind of people do you know? I don't know anybody taking any of that shit.
I don't know them either. I don't even go to the club. I'm just saying that when I look on the internet, they say that this is what be going on in them clubs where all them black folks be. They say that's how they act. They act just like that. So I'm like, fam, how do you expect to find something long term in an environment?
Really,
like
truthfully,
that?
How do you expect to find anybody long term if you're only on the surface of anything? It don't matter. Wherever you meet them, if you're only on the surface and you're not digging deep, you're not gonna find any depth at all.
You think you finna find some depth in what's the likelihood of you finding depth? Everybody has the potential.
Correct.
But what's the likelihood of you finding depth from some chick you randomly meet at the club?
0. I'm always thinking 0. Unless someone was ever proven wrong, which I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not even looking for that. But because I ain't going to be in nobody's club anyway, so I'm not worried about it. But 0.
Man, that's crazy. I got deja vu on air. But anyway, go ahead.
Going back to all my club days, it was literally, I'm 0. I'm 0. Like,
Fam, I ain't even going to the club with the intent of nothing.
I'm thinking
being
about all the
longer
times I
than
did.
12 hours.
I'm thinking about all the times that I did. I didn't find nothing in the club.
You probably found what you were looking for.
Yeah, high bar tab. That's it. I didn't find anything of substance.
Well, I wasn't looking for. See, so so my thing is this: if I'm going to the club, I'm not looking for substance.
You shouldn't be.
So why, you know what I'm saying? So why try to even pose that argument as if it's not any good men out there, it's not any good women out there, so on. You know what I'm saying? And you're looking at all the wrong.
What I want for people to do, and then we'll close it out, and we're gonna reconvene on this. We're gonna do this again. But what I want people to do is really, really dig deep. Like, look at that person in front of you with intentionality. I want people to see it as not like a goal or something that's just like a badge of honor, because that's really kind of what I did too growing up. Like, until I got to a certain point. But I would prefer that people really dig deep, especially men. Like, dig deep within yourself first, and then dig deep into that person and really see who you're looking at. Because once you start doing the physical part, and we talked about this, I think you said you and your wife paused on that part before you got married. Somewhere in that time frame, you guys said we're gonna slow it down on that and we're gonna focus on being intentional. We talked about that, I think, like early on in one of the other episodes we did. And I thought that was dope. I thought that was actually really, really cool, because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, before they get married, it's just like balls to the wall. Like, they're not slowing down anything, right? For you guys to slow down and say, no, we're going to focus on this relationship and make sure that we are in sync, I feel like that's what everybody should do.
Well, I mean, the fact that we got married in a culture in which marriage is consistently declining, that's one thing. But then, because most people ain't even getting married.
Not anymore, no.
So, the covenant, what? No. We lease agreement. That'd be the strongest covenant we got. You know what I'm saying?
A lease
sharing
agreement.
a lease. So, like, yeah, most people ain't getting married, bro. And so, whatever. I can't speak to those folks. But even deciding to wait, when we started off on the wrong foot, in my opinion. Just kind of just getting it in. I'm like, well, shoot, if this is somebody that I can see myself marrying, then let me try to put myself in the best position, put her in the best position to make sure that we're not blinded by lust, blinded by just physical attraction, or even really blinded by conveniences.
Mm-hmm.
And conveniences can come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. So what I found was that with the abstinence piece, it really did produce a lot of clarity for me, a lot of clarity to be able to see and to consider different things that I wouldn't have been able to see or consider while full of lust. Because when I'm full of that lust, that's all I can think of. You know what I'm saying, boy? When that sack, anyway. So.
I was waiting for you to say it.
But
all right,
all right,
hold on.
But yeah, yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up.
But it did help me get some clarity, and I was able to consider some stuff, and we made the right decision. It was the best decision I could have made.
As always, thank you all for listening to this podcast. Thank you for choosing us. We could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. It's awesome. Thank you for the comments, the likes, the shares, the subscriptions, the lives. I've been on live all week. It's so much fun. We gotta do that. It's actually a lot of fun. It's easy. It's like being in COVID all over again. That's really what it feels like. It's cool. Yeah. Appreciate the live invites. Y'all cool. Those little groups have been invited. It's been dope. Make sure that you subscribe, like, follow both of us, both of our shows. He's at Tell On Myself Podcast. K.409.
K.409 on IG.
Make sure you follow. Make sure you guys go on YouTube. Help us get those things up on both sides. And we're going to be back at this again. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate Celestial Beerworks always. That's one of our brand partners, so it's awesome. And
thanks, Celestial.
Yeah.
We're drunk. Nah, I'm just joking.
Nope. No, we're not. No. Becky's drunk, but I'm not. All right, we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
We prophetic.